Fatal feud, Hebrew Israelites against Black Afrikans. Who is fomenting this dispute? And why is this dispute being engineered? Are we really victims in this? You can watch these various videos shown here and you realize that there is a lot of so-called Israel School of Universal Practical Knowledge, home of the truth, what they say concerning the enslavement of black people from West Africa into the Americas. What we realize that if we stand tall, it is because we stand on the shoulders of many ancestors. This is an African proverb. The gist of the dispute is that the Semites and the Hamites are defined as two distinctly different tribes of color on the continent of Africa. This is in the Zondervan dictionary. They then say, even though Israel is in the land mass of Africa, we are not the same people. Remember, we are not a Hamitic race, but a Semitic race. This is one of the dictionaries that is used to push and foster this thinking and this ideology. And it has fomented a great hate and hatred amongst the black people. And they also go on into some form of Egyptology in which they raise Japheth, Ham, and Shem as different human beings. What you must realize that this image is not truthful and is not truthfully employed, and it is used purposefully for a certain goal. The Zondervan Bible Dictionary creates this problem. It says that Ham is the progenitor of a dark race, but not the Negroes. You see what they're doing? They have already sown a division there. It goes on to quote Africans in Genesis 10 verse 6 and say, if they are, and now we say, if they are Africans, then who are the Negroes? So you go into the Zondervan where they say, in essence, Negroes are not Africans. This is a compact Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Ham, or perhaps Hot, you see, perhaps Hot, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to go through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. They then give a verse here, and they go on to go into the Hamitic case, which is false and fallacy. The Portuguese were the first to enslave Africans. They used the word Negroes. The Spanish became involved too. They also adopted the word Negro to describe Africans. Negro is an adjectival word with a shocking etymology, although it means black in Portuguese and Spanish generally. You can read this by Dr. Kwame Nantambu, and you can also visit the website shown here concerning this vital, important issue. The shocking meaning of the word Negro. Now, first, Negro is defined as, from the Webster's dictionary, is defined as one of the dark-skinned race having woolly hair, flat nose, thick protruding lips, and prognathous form of the skull, which means it's a protruding skull, or baboon skull, or monkey skull. Native to Africa, where the term Negro applies mostly specifically to the Bantu stock of the south and western and central and western areas near the Gulf of Guinea. They go on to describe what the Negroes behave and their beliefs and so forth. But the Greek word necro means dead. It is similar in sound, phonology, and meaning to the word Negro. Eurocentric thought processes deceitfully juxtaposed these words, necro and negro, to reference the physical, spiritual, or mental death of a person, place, or a thing. Our brothers and sisters, the Hebrew Israelites, are therefore prophetic in this sense, in a very tragic manner and a tragic sense. They go on for Hebrew, or so-called Negro. A documentary by Mark in Copeland goes into detail in this, showing enslavement. And they also go and say, who is correct then? Then they show us that this is an African and that this is Israel. The same organization, another organization teaches this. And then they go on to say, God separated us from Africans. Now, this is what they are taught and this is what they believe. Now, here's the question. Who benefits from such division and such divisive teaching? The idea that the real instigator of the slave trade and colonization of Africa may spend some nuance to deflect attention is closer to the truth than all what our brothers and sisters of the Hebrew Israelite movement are teaching. Thomas Nelson and Zondervan together represent over 50% of the Christian book market published in the United States. So it's big business. Therefore, they have a massive force and they are massively influential. Please answer, who are these two people? If you answer that, you are on track. However, we know that the Israelite School of Universal Knowledge teach all this. You can see them here and their YouTube. You can visit them on their YouTube. Yet it is factual that we sold each other into slavery. You can see here, this is a Swahili slave trader who introduced the Swahili language, which is a mix of Arabic, English, and other African words. It's not an original African tongue. We should never bother about it. But not only into the Americans where did we sell each others to. Our Hebrew Israelite conveniently forgets the Islamic trade also. Now, you must get this book by John Alembila Azuma, the Legacy of Arab Islam Africa. A quest for interreligious dialogue. In summary, the awful truth is that Arabs ravaged Africa for almost 1,000 years before Europeans ever began to export slaves. Far more Africans were swallowed up in the 1400 years of Islamic slave trade than in 3 centuries of European practice. An estimated 17 to 20 million Africans were exported from their native land to the Muslim world. But this isn't the whole story. With a transport survival rate of less than 1 in 3, a lot perished. A lot perished. Perhaps similar to the ones perishing in the Atlantic slave trade. Dr. John Alembila Azuma estimates that over 80 million slaves died en route. You can see here an Arab slave raid in East Africa, 1888. The death toll from 14th century of Muslims runs into millions, and I think it's 500 million people. This is the slave trade. These were rescued in the 19th century, around 1902. More slaves. This is an Abyssinian slave girl, Madagascan slave couple. This is from Zanzibar, who were taken over into from Africa. This is more. These are Zanzibari natives who went on into Middle East. You can see they are black people. You can see this is a black people in Zanzibar. You can see this is Tanzania slave raid. They have been just raided by these African who had converted to Islam and following their religion. Of the millions of blacks who went into Islamic slavery, males were castrated. That's why you don't find a lot of the population there. Therefore, we must find a true foundational reason why black people are hated like this. This is tipo, and these are the images and pictures of what was happening, not the Arabic one, which is very, very atrocious. What will our brothers say now? The text quoted from Dr. Azuma's The Legacy of Arab Islam in Africa goes on to describe the fate of those who became too ill or too weak to continue the journey as related by Muslim headsmen heading people. This is a slave market in Zanzibar. This is exactly what happened. We were not in Africa. There were other powerful kingdoms. That's why the Nguni and also the Shona and the Karanga, they were able to fight and expel, and the Shangan expel Portuguese and refused to trade. But many others continued. So it says, if they are sick, spare them at once. For if we did not, others would pretend they are ill in order to avoid carrying their loads. No. We never leave them alive on the road. They all know the custom. So ingrained is slavery in Islam that the religion's holiest city, Mecca, the site of the Hajj pilgrimage, was a slave trading capital. Up until the 20th century, Mecca served as the gateway to the Muslim world for slaves brought out of Africa. Azuma notes, it became a custom for pilgrims to take slaves for sale in Mecca or buy 1 or 2 slaves while on the Hajj as souvenirs to be kept, sold or given as gifts. The last slaves were traded there openly in 1960. This is shocking. An Islamic so-called scholar Ibn Khaldun, an early Islamic thinker, writes that blacks are only humans who are closer to dumb animals than to rational beings. There must be one reason why this is like this. Honestly speaking, And they go on to tell us that Zorevan described the Africans as Hamites as this, and the Negroes as this. But we know that the slavery did not select. Now, let us look at this in detail and find that reason. We start with the Bible, which they believe. According to the Bible, the Hebrew Israelites were often mistaken for Egyptians. Ancient Egyptians were black race, and the real Israelites of the Bible were black. That's straightforward. It is easy to confuse the two because they looked alike, and they still look alike today, the Egyptian and the Israelite. Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian, Exodus 2 verse 19. Joseph was mistaken for an Egyptian, Genesis 42 3 to 18. Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian in Acts 21 verse 37 to 39. Moses was educated in all the learning of the Egyptians, and he was a man of power in words and deeds. Egyptian words and deeds. This is the highest and political, educational, scientific source for all black people, ancient Egypt. That is the fear that we are going to reveal. So the following Bantu people, the Lua, the Baganda, the Nyaranda, the Rundi of Burundi, Kikuyu, Kalanga, Shona, Nguni, the Zulu, all claim southerly migration from Egypt. Moreover, there are many groups of Bantu speakers from Tanzania, Mozambique, Congo, Zambia, Malawi, South Africa who testify a southerly migration from Egypt. Many tribes of people from West Africa migrated from Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan into their present-day location. There we are. We are showing you these people. Apart from the oral traditions provided by Bantu elders, the evidence is also based on linguistic, historical, scientific, and cultural studies done by many others other than Cheikh Anta Diop. So, the world's greatest fear is the discovery of this identity. We are here because we have always been here on earth. We are people of the past, present, and the future. We, the black people. Once Africans unite around the true, real, historical identity, and they know that they are the ancient people, the ancient Egyptians, ancient Ethiopians, ancient Hebrews, their power, the power of the oppressor is gone. We discovered everything, including writing, science, maths, everything. Therefore, that's why they teach such doctrines that divide us. So, thank you very much. Let us not allow this division to continue, or let us not entertain this division. For when you look at this ivory image, and I ask the question, this is a Hebrew, this is an ancient Egyptian, this is an ancient Ethiopian, this is us. We are the people. The feud against our Hebrew Israelite brothers in the Americas and us in Africa is created and crafted by those that actually instigated and started and participated in slavery. Thank you very much. Subscribe to our channel, Hamitic Hebrew Ethics, Life Spirit of Amen. This is Priest Teacher Rabbi L.M. Dumizulu. It's time to rebuild. Thank you. Goodbye.